There we go. We're online. No, that one's off. It's off.
Maybe change that to 2. Oh, you already wrote that you were doing a post, right?
Yeah, there should be a way to grab a link there and put it over. Brian Baker's over there on YouTube. I see.
Ask him how Airdrie is.
How's the Airdrie, Brian? Who else is there? Glenn Jones?
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Let me just pull you guys up here for a second. I have to minimize this page I've got going. We're having a Restream issue today. We're having a Restream issue today.
Derek Matthews.
There, I can see the chat now. Derek Matthews, Wiley's 3D, Glenn Jones, Brian Baker. Hello, everybody. Today we don't have a very pleasant topic to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And we're going to run the intro right now. Hey, welcome to this special Monday Coffee with Rich. I'm Richard Cleveland, your host. You guys know who I am. What's that?
The lower third just made the screen go black.
Oh, great. Don't worry about. All right, screen's black.
Sorry, friends.
No worries. We don't mind that. We had a little blackout. That's okay. We got Glenn Jones, James McGregor. Hello, Airdrie's good, Brian Baker says. Got my Maker Select V2 printing with the MS All Metal hot end and the CR10S printing. Woo, Glenn Jones says, awesome. So today I want to talk about models. It came to my attention this morning before I came into the studio that this practice has been going on for God knows how long. It's almost like the music industry, where people will buy something or trade something and figure that they own it, they have the right to call it their own, and things like that. Many of you might have been on our Facebook group today where I actually outed an individual who is not part of our community, but I've also outed him on several other communities today. This individual is contacting people, and we've had several people contact us today regarding the same issue. What it is basically is this individual is either buying or trading for models and is not giving the credit to the artist who created the models. He's calling these models his own, is making money off of them, and whether he's selling the STLs or he's selling prints, I don't know at this stage. I do know that he has been calling them his own, and he is trading them at the very least. And I've got some great examples to show you. Let me just go over to this screen here.
Our quality is bad.
Why is our quality bad?
That was a bit lousy. Somebody said 1080p. Just checking.
Oh, we're at 1080p.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just us.
Come on.
Sorry, everyone.
Not now. Okay. Sorry about that. We now have a much better picture, I believe.
I'll tell you in a second.
As soon as you see me. There we go. All right. So let me bring up this piece here. Let me first zoom in on it a little bit. I want to zoom in before I bring it up. And I'm going to point out some models that I know are not this individual's. I want to see if you guys can spot them as well. So here are some models that were sent to somebody in our community. And this person claiming that these are his own. Here are some commissions he has. This one right here, this guy right here, the big Galactus, I know for a fact belongs to Fragmints, who is a member of our community. And this is his model. He's shown many different pictures of it being modeled and has shown it printed and so on. Moving down, this dragon that you see right here, this is the dragon Jess and I were working on a couple of weeks ago. And this dragon belongs to Emilio Vitt. This is Emilio Vitt's model. We have it, so I know who it came from. There are 3 more examples here that I want to show you. I am also part of a group that is a subscription service. And this Palpatine, or this Snoke, Darth Vader, and Palpatine model all come from Build It and They Will Come, a subscription service that you can take advantage of, and he has quite a collection of models up there that he releases at different times. This Batman on the throne with the trident also, I believe, belongs to Emilio Vitt. And some of the others in here, I can't see whose they are. Because the heads are cut off, so I don't know exactly whose they are. Now, doing some investigation, I found some models up on, where did we find those today? Over at, what was the? Gambody. We found some models over on Gambody that we know for a fact are on Sergio Malik's website, malix3design.com. And now I have to do a little further investigation to see who exactly owns those models, but I will bet dollars to donuts that they are Sergio's models. I'm just going to pull up your comments here, guys. Just give me a second so I can see what you guys are saying about me. Yeah, I don't know why we've been coming in so badly. Hello to Kevin. Hello to Mike, Maker Mike, Ben Brady, Frank Awesome, Glenn Jones. I've said hi to Glenn already. So I am really, really kind of, I don't know what's the word. I'm pissed off for these people that are having their products and their hard work misappropriated by somebody else in different communities. STLs, when an artist creates an STL, they usually give you a license agreement for it. If you go up onto Thingiverse or you go up onto myminifactory.com or any of the other ones that are out there, they usually have an agreement of some sort that states whether you can make money off the printed piece or not. If you go to Thingiverse, you'll find that there's a lot of license agreements that say this is not for commercial use, which means you cannot print it and sell it, plain and simple. That's in black and white. The other part is if somebody has in their license agreement, like I know that Emilio and Sergio both have, that you can print and then sell the printed model, then that's okay. But if you are going along and saying, hey, listen, I've got this to trade for that, don't do it. If you've paid for a model from a specific artist, I really have to say to you, be very, very cautious about other people approaching you and asking you for STL trades or asking you to buy their work or so on and so forth. When you see clearly that you know that there's artists out there, and we have a lot of artists in our community today that this is happening to. Sergio is one of them. Build It and They Will Come. Emilio Vitt, and I'm sure there's many more that I'm not mentioning. But when you have people out there on eBay, on Etsy, on any other saleable site that allows them to sell models, it's not right. It is fraudulent to some degree. I'm not a lawyer. It definitely is a copyright. Now, copyright's kind of a gray area here because some of the artists create popular or pop culture things like Superman, Batman, Star Wars, you name it. People are creating models of their favorite stuff all the time, taking things from video games and making them into STLs. People do it all the time. So there is a copyright issue there. What people don't realize, though, is that if an artist spends time making a model, I'm going to use this Deadpool on my desk as a great example. The artist spent time making this model, and if that artist spent a week, these don't churn out overnight. What anybody might think an artist does in churning these out like in a couple of hours, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of work that has to go into them. I'm working with a designer out of Mexico right now that has sent me a couple of files that I can't print because they look great in 3D space, but they are just unprintable at the stage that they're at. So we're working together to get his models to be printable. And they're gorgeous pieces. I'm not going to say who it is yet because I'm not ready to reveal that. But the artist who made this, I'm going to guess, took 2 or 3 days to make this proper into an STL so that you could download it from free from Thingiverse. This is a free model available on Thingiverse. Can I sell this? Absolutely not. Can I sell this in a printed form? Absolutely not. Can I sell this printed and painted? Absolutely not. Without the consent of the designer. Brian Baker, it's a shame. Oh, up one? That's the legal recourse. What's the legal recourse for violation? I believe copyright is automatically established at creation of creative works. It is, but like the guys that are creating cosplay. Let's talk about cosplay for a second, and it does relate to this, and I'll get to that, the point I'm going to make. When you create your favorite character, from game, movie, television, whatever, and you create an accurate representation of that, and somebody comes to you and says, will you sell that to me? And if you say yes, you haven't made it for yourself, now you've made it for somebody else. Initially you made it for yourself, but now you're willing to sell a copywritten piece of, or an IP, an intellectual property of another company. If you create something yourself, you're still infringing on the IP. And this goes back to Star Trek. Let me kind of explain that. If anybody knows anything about Star Trek and Star Trek Axanar, that happened a couple of years ago. Axanar was a fan film that was being done by Alec Peters, a person I know very well. And Alec Peters later, last year, the year before, was taken to court by CBS, Viacom, and Paramount Pictures over the infringement of copyright for characters, languages, locations, sets, design, the whole 9 yards for this film Axanar that he was doing. Now that has been since settled out of court. Axanar can go ahead in some fashion. I don't know what it is yet, but it can proceed ahead. I think only in like 15-minute chunks or something. I can't remember, but there is some agreement there. Now, the intellectual property in which, we use Deadpool here again, this belongs to Marvel Comics and now to Fox. Here's another great example. Baby Groot belongs to Marvel Comics and to, what is the publishing company? Marvel? Marvel didn't publish this. Disney. Pickle Rick. It looks like a big green fluorescent pickle in my hand, but it is Pickle Rick. Wow, that sure comes out green. Again, this is an IP, an intellectual property. Somebody created this file for 3D printing. You cannot paint and sell this. You can't mass produce it on your 3D printers. You can't make a mold of this and sell it. because you are infringing not only on the intellectual property, but you're also infringing on the copyright of the designer who turned around and made this into a viable 3D model. Does that make sense? I hope that answered your question. CBS is ruthless when it comes to Star Trek merch. Yes, they are. And as designers make stuff for us to print, I'm not a designer. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys. I am not a designer in any way, shape, or form. I'm a printer and I'm a painter. That's what I do. If somebody were to send me an STL and ask me to print it and paint it for them, that's a completely different story. Now that becomes a commission work. I have not purchased the STL. I do not get to keep the STL. I have to delete the STL according to my agreements with my customers. If somebody sends me an STL to say, here, print it, paint it, and send it back to me, great. That now becomes my own piece of work that I've charged the time to print, I've charged the time to paint. Does that make sense? But I haven't charged them for the STL, and I haven't traded the STL. It's basically subcontracting work. Now, an individual or individuals that will grab other people's models, pass them off as their own, is wrong. And I encourage you guys and the whole audience abroad, anybody that watches this video during the live stream or afterwards, to get in contact with designers and let them know that their work, if you see it, is being misappropriated. Contact them. Let them know where you saw their work. Most of the people that I know, like Emilio and Sergio, these guys have their own little websites that you can go to and look at their work. And if you're going to their website, you know, chances are that they've modeled it. Some people have come forward to point the finger at some people in different communities that have models available, saying that they've done the same thing, but I haven't seen any evidence of that yet. And until I do see evidence, I'm not going to bring up their names. I'm also not going to name the individual now on the live stream that this all came up over this morning. But if you are seeing other people's work online on different sites, whether it be My Mini Factory, whether it be over at, what's that other place, Thingiverse, Gambody, any of them, please let that person know that their work is on these sites and they're being put up by other people.
What happens if the STL they send you is a pirated model for you to print?
Where did that, okay, that's from James McGregor. What happens if the STL they send you is pirated model for you to print? Now,
Matthews continues on with that same question.
If they send me a model, I don't know that that model's been pirated. I don't know how they obtained that model, so on my end, I have no way of knowing that unless I go search out the model myself. Typically, I won't do that because I have to take it at face value that the model itself has not been pirated. If they are buying an STL because they want the model, and they send it to me, I don't know if they've bought it or they've stolen it or they've got it through a trade or what. But if somebody were to send me a model, I first and foremost have to take them at face value because it's a commission piece. I'm not charging for the STL, understand. I'm not charging for that at all. I'm charging for my time and material to print and paint said model. And I'm only doing one. So it's like a one-off, that's it. Derek says, I was going to ask that question. If someone sent me an STL from, say, Thingiverse and asked me to print it for them for the cost it takes to print it, can I do that? If somebody sends you a model to print, there's no reason why you can't print it. You are a printing service. You're not taking that model from Thingiverse and calling it yours and saying, this is what I have. Do you want this? You are having a customer send you an STL that they got on Thingiverse. for you to print. And it's no different than taking a model from Thingiverse and say going to one of the other printing services, or taking, think of it like this, taking a magazine cover or a sign, taking it to your local printer and saying, can I have 16 copies of this? They're charging you for a service to make a print. You're charging a service to make a print. You're not saying that this is your model. Yes, printing and painting are considered a value-added service. I just want to change this because I can't see myself very well. There we go. And that's Brian Baker saying printing and painting is a value-added service, and it is. But we as artists, and I'm going to classify myself as an artist because I do paint a lot of models. If somebody comes to me and says, can you paint this model for me? Great, I can do that. Can you print and paint it? Great, I can do that. I don't keep those STLs if they send me an STL. Commissions are a bit different than printing to sell the item, I think. Commissions are different completely. Where it becomes an issue is when you say that this now is your model. Just because you printed it, it's not your model. It was designed by somebody else, it was uploaded to a service by somebody else, and you have downloaded, whether you've paid for it or you haven't, you got it from a free site, doesn't matter. This model still does not belong to the holder of the STL. And it's very much like music. When we buy music or videotapes or DVDs or Blu-rays, although we physically have that item in our hands, we technically do not own it. That $29 that we paid for that Blu-ray is really a long-term rental fee. You don't own it. It is still owned by the company that put that intellectual property out. So if you copy a cassette tape or a CD, a music CD, and you pass it off to your friend, and your friend passes that off to a friend, well, you don't own it, and you can't legally make copies of it for other people for distribution. Once you give that to somebody else, it's now considered distribution, whether you got paid for it or not. And this is why things like Pirate Bay still exist, and why torrent sites still exist, like the illegal torrent sites, where you can go and download movies like crazy, and you can download television, and you can download pornography, and you can download all kinds of things. They are pirating all of that material. When somebody takes somebody else's work and passes it off as their own for distribution, they are pirating that work. It is illegal. It is immorally wrong. I don't stand on a Bible or a pulpit or a soapbox, but today I'm going to get up on a soapbox and say, listen, if you want great models done by great people, then support those people. Don't allow people to contact you and say, hey, I've got 300 models to trade with you. What do you have? Those people you need to report right away. Report them to the admins of any sites that you're on, report them to admins on Facebook, and make sure that those kind of people get put out of business very quickly.
What you should maybe clarify is, even if you find a pirated model on a certain website, maybe it's not necessarily the website is a shady website.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Jess is just saying that, you know, if you find somebody else's model on another website, it doesn't mean that that website is shady. It just means that the individual that is carrying those models may or may not have permission to put them there and sell the STLs. We found how many of Sergio's?
Oh, like 6?
I think we found 6 of Sergio's on Gambody alone today. So if Sergio watches this later on, I implore you to go check out Gambody, because we found Harley Quinn there. We found a bunch of the mechs. We found the Hulk, which I know is Sanix's because I have that model. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. That's right, Brian Baker says. Ben Brady, you only have ownership of the physical item. You don't own the content. It is contained on the physical item. That's absolutely correct. That goes for DVDs, and it's the same thing with STLs. You don't own the STL. You own the physical printed piece. Now, you might say, I have so many in my library. That's great. But you don't own the STL. The STL is the designer's intellectual property or copywritten piece. Like your Spider-Man and Mewtwo, exactly. Don't bite the hand. Well said, sir. Thank you, Matthew. If you're interested, my mini factory is launching a service to protect designers. It's $25 a month plus 10% commission. Maybe worth looking into. That's Brian Baker saying that. It's very, very true. I'm sure on Gambody they do state who was the designer of said. Yes, they do. And we did find that the Sanix models, it's a different name. It's not Malix 3 Design, it's not Sanix, it's not Sergio. It is a different name altogether. Yeah, I'm not going to say the name, but please go and check it out.
Well, we are not even confirmed that that's not Sergio.
Yeah, we haven't confirmed that that's not Sergio yet, but I have my suspicions that it's not. Because Sergio, anytime I've ever seen Sergio stuff, I've seen it either under Malix or Sanix. That's it, those two. And I know that Sergio works with somebody else to create amazing designs. And as Sergio's work has gotten better, you can see his change in style as he's progressed through making models. Even from the first models I got from him, which was the Justice League, up until my most recent model, which was Spawn, there's a huge leap in the quality of his models. And Emilio Witt's no different. There's a huge leap in the stuff that he's creating today as opposed to the stuff that he was creating even 3 months ago. Andrew Lawrence, in the past week, I've heard multiple instances of exactly this situation. I have a feeling some reckoning is coming to the 3D printing community. Yeah, and there is. You'll notice last year, was it last year or late the year before, that Joel Telling did a piece on models that were being misappropriated off of Thingiverse and then being sold on, I believe it was eBay. And several models were sold by this company claiming that they owned the rights to all of these models. When they were finally taken to court, they were calling it public domain because artists had put their stuff up onto Thingiverse claiming, and this individual was claiming that it was public domain, and he was losing X number of millions of dollars every month because now he could no longer sell these models. Well, the true fact is that he lost his case because he was misappropriating models that had clearly a no commercial strike on them. So the models that he was taking from Thingiverse, printing and selling on eBay, were not his to sell. He had no commercial license, did not contact any of the designers, and therefore is now out of business. He went after Stratasys, he went after Joel Telling too, I believe, and called for cease and desist and so everything. And at the end of the day, this guy was literally stealing people's work and making money off of it. And unfortunately, it happens all the time. We live in a world now where the internet now is our marketplace. I still go to physical stores, but I do a fair amount of shopping online. Cheryl, are you you're very passionate about this, Rick. Good on you. Thank you, Cheryl. And happy again, belated birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
There's Dawn. Yeah, it was on eBay and Etsy, Brian says. People are selling printed models on eBay and Etsy. And unless they have a specific agreement with the designer of those models, they shouldn't be selling them.
I think one of
Well,
no way to avoid it. But
that's the problem. On the internet, you're right about that. We live in an era where everything on the internet is supposed to be true. No, there's plenty of scam artists out on the internet. And I get letters every week from somebody who, a relative of mine, apparently passed away in Zimbabwe or Togo or, you know, Fickenwill and Hymenstein. And, you know, I've got millions of dollars coming. But I have to give them so much money first.
or you know, the FBI will catch you for obtaining child pornography and ask
Yeah.
for bitcoins.
Or the FBI is asking for bitcoins because you're looking at child porn. Or they've caught you doing something inappropriate on your webcam and they want bitcoin. So scams are everywhere, and it's not just in the 3D printing community. Unfortunately, it is becoming more and more prevalent in the 3D printing community. 3D printing community, here's where it becomes a real issue though. 3D printing community on a whole is actually very small. And a lot of us are in multiple groups. So we can see all this crap that's going on. And that's what a lot of what these scammers don't realize is that we have somewhat personal relationships with people in our community and communities that we also are in. 3D Printing and Tinkering, which is Jerry Knapp's group on Facebook. I'm in there all the time. I consider Jerry a great guy, and I wish him the return to health very fast. I hear he's doing much better right now. But again, these are all people that we've made relationships with over time. So when somebody comes along, and I do this in our community too, when somebody comes along and has either a very strange name or wants to contact me privately first before joining our group, the hair on the back of my neck stands up a little bit. And I know there's all different kinds of names out there from different ethnic backgrounds, but we have all kinds of people in our group. We have, it doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. If you're a part of our group, you're a part of our group. We don't care what color your skin is. What we do care is if you are contacting people and making claims that you have 300 models in your stable and that you'd like to share with somebody else. There's a gentleman in Nigeria who passed away. Yeah, I get calls and claiming that I've, you know, it's a CRA. Again, I get the Microsoft calls all the time. And I get all the Microsoft calls because, you know, I have an IT background. So
I always tell them I don't have a computer.
I ask them to tell me what my IP is. I want them to tell me exactly what type of computer I'm using. So yeah, you know,
Tell them you've got a Mac.
or yeah, and then I tell them I'm working on Linux. But at the end of the day, here's what I want to say to you guys. If you come across an individual who has contacted you claiming that they have a stable of models or a library of models, that they're willing to trade with you, please, please report them right away, because that's not the way we should be doing business, especially with people that put a lot of time and effort into making models. The guys who do this have my utmost respect, because I can't do this in 3D space. But I really do enjoy printing these models, and I really do enjoy painting these models. And I'm going to kind of end it there. I'm going to leave the thought with you guys. I've been rambling on for a little over half an hour now. Jim McGregor says, when I pass away, I need a GoFundMe funeral, please. I'm okay. We'll do our best, James. Yeah, at the end of the day, please support the artists that you know, and the artists that you know do quality work. If you're on Thingiverse and you find a model and you know it belongs to somebody else, or any other site and you know that it belongs to somebody else, please contact both parties and say, who owns this? Okay? When you die, I want your printer. How did we get on that topic? Anyone know what causes filament to go brittle on a roll? Yes, it's called water or moisture. Andrew Lawrence is asking that. I'll answer that real quick. It is moisture. Fragments, we saw one of his models, his Galactus model up there, and he's in our community as well, so support his work. Yeah, buy your models from the source. That's basically the best way to do it. Buy them from the source. That way you know you're getting, you know where you're getting it from. And all these models usually are checked for accuracy. Oh, pardon me, I'm playing with something on my desk. All these things are checked for accuracy and printability. And, you know, some of these guys, some, very small some, don't have printers to print their own models. I'm working, like I said, I'm working with somebody right now who doesn't have access to a printer because of his geographical location, but has created some beautiful models. Now we're working together to make sure that his models are printable. And I know that they're his because we've been going back and forth. If you get scam emails telling you to spend money on somewhere in Africa, okay, we're going to get off that topic. So at the end of the day, guys, I just want to say, and I'll wrap this up, leave your comments down in the chat below, whether you agree or disagree with this. Go out and check out my Facebook post today. And there is a new episode up today. It actually launched a half an hour ago. And it is Wonder Woman painting. We're fixing up some of the problems that I had on Wonder Woman after we came back from Penticton. It's about an hour long. It's quite a long one because I'm yapping all the way through it. So check that out today. And we are monetized here on Facebook, or on YouTube, pardon me. We're monetized on YouTube now. So please just let the ad roll. It's 30 seconds, maybe a minute out of your life. Just let the ad roll because that really helps out our bottom line. If you like my ramblings today and my, what's a better word for it, griping about this, you can go to patreon.com/thefirstlayer, become a Patreon. We're doing some great stuff up there right now. There was going to be an episode tomorrow night because I was going to record it tonight. Unfortunately, there will not be because the model I'd started working on hit the floor and broke into several pieces. And because there's so little infill in it, there's no way for me to glue it back together, so I reprinted it over the weekend. Yeah, let the bodies hit the floor. So for all you folks that are Patreons, I apologize for that. There will be episodes coming this week. We are going to get working on the Dark Side project that I have been diligently trying to get filmed for you guys. If you like the content today, you can buy myself or Jess or Frank a coffee. Jess is on the controls today. She came in, and there's her fingers. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/thefirstlayer. And thanks to Spool 3D for everything that they do. What? No. What are you talking about?
Frank dropped his Wonder Woman on the concrete.
Uh-oh. Frank dropped his Wonder Woman. Uh-oh. Told you not to drink. So, yeah, getting back, Spool 3D, thank you again for the studio space and for everything that they allow us to utilize here at their store. Spool 3D, print it right, print it with spool3d.ca. They've got everything from printers, filaments, and parts, so you can check them out today at spool3d.ca. Thanks to Jess, thanks to Frank for everything they do. We're going to do another live stream on Wednesday. We're going to get back to normal stuff. I wanted to get this through today and show you guys those photos. If you are approached, be wary, okay? With that, again, you guys remember the first layer is always your foundation to a great print. So until next time, we'll see you on Wednesday.